Friends, thank you so much for checking out this episode of The Five, the Criterion edition. And on this episode, I'm very excited to have my friend KB, who I always love talking with. KB, how's it going, man?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. And I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while now. We've been talking about it. And then you showed me
Yeah, me
grace
too.
when I blew my
Me
back
too.
out last week. You showed me grace. We
Ah,
pushed it forward. And
mm,
I'm feeling all right now. So,
good, good.
yeah. So how you feeling about this current sale, Barnes& and Noble sale?
Um, I missed the flash sale, so I
Me
went
too.
last weekend and I did damage, and then afterwards I felt like I could have done more, but I'm glad I didn't because I started with like 17 titles, and I'm like,
Wow.
I will need to find a new place to live if I do 17 titles. That's just the long and short of it. So
Yep.
I behaved. And there are still three titles with a total of five movies that I want to get, but
Okay.
I don't know if I'll pull the trigger on them by the end of the month.
Okay. Yeah, I came into it, I think, with three, four titles, and then it swelled to six, and now
It
it's eight.
happens.
So
It
I haven't
happens
purchased
so
them all.
easily.
I've only gotten two, and you can relate to this. So I talked to my wife when the sale started. We were at a friend's house, and it came up on my phone, and I was like, "Oh man, the Criterion sale's going on." And my wife doesn't collect films; it means nothing to her,
Right.
Criterion. And she goes, "Oh, what's the sale?" I was like, "It's 50% off." And she goes, "That's a great deal." I said, "It is a great deal." And she said, "Well, if you wanted to grab a couple for Christmas, we could do that." So we pre-purchased them, so I won't get to watch them for about a month and a half, but that's all right. And
Yeah.
so there's two. So I'm hoping I can squeeze in some others for now and have the Christmas
Yeah.
ones in the future. So we'll see.
Yeah. I was going to meet Nathan Jones and Ryan from The Disconnected, and she knew, my wife knew I was going and what I was going to do, and she knows generally how expensive they are. So
Yeah.
I'm walking out the door and she hands me a $50 bill and she's like, have fun. I was like, you know me. So I
That's a
had
good
to tell
day.
her, thank you. Thank you. I
Absolutely.
did have fun.
Well, I saw the video like a posted of you guys, the three of you guys together. So it did look
Yeah,
like you guys had a good time.
we did. We always do.
Good, good. Well, KB, I have a couple of questions for you before we do the actual five questions.
Okay.
So the first question is, you've seen Wakanda Forever twice now, is that right?
Just came home from seeing it for the second time. Yes.
All right. So obviously, I did check out your first video. Obviously, you might do some more, um, but just what kind of is this a must see? Do fans need to go see this one? Is this? I've heard everything I've read said it's not your typical Marvel movie.
It's not. It didn't feel like a Marvel movie. I mean, you could take out the special effects and the superhero element of it, and it's still a really, really good story about family and responsibility. And as I said in the out of the theater reaction video, it's about grief and how we handle it. So I think that was the overlying theme of the movie, and they did a really good job at it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Also, when I saw you going for the second time, I was like, I gotta ask him. After seeing it a second time, still feeling good
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it. So good, good. All right. Second question for you is it may come up in this conversation, but you mentioned you had a handful of titles you're really interested in picking up. Is there one that for you, like in your top two or three, that you were like, that one's a must have for the sale? Like that you just kind of laser beam focused on?
It hasn't come out yet, and that would be Malcolm X.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing about the Blu-ray that uh, I think was missing was all the special features that I think the Criterion is going to include. So I think that one definitely was a must get. So
Yeah.
I stashed some money aside to make sure if I get nothing else, I still have enough to get that one when it comes
Nice.
out.
Nice.
Um, but out of the ones I got the original version of Wong Kar Wai's In the Mood for Love, Now, this there are three different versions out on Criterion. You have the original, which is on DVD and Blu-ray. Then you have the second edition that was in the box set on Blu-ray, and that has the corrected color timing from the director, and it has a green overall tint to it. Funny enough, I was watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, and there is a scene that is kind of like a homage to In the Mood for Love, and it has a green tint there. So I'm like, hmm.
Huh.
And then the 4K, which just came out, and I was kind of going back and forth between the original or the 4K with the color correction, and I ended up with the original because that's how I'm used to seeing it. It may not be the director's view, but it's what I know. So
Cool.
that was an important get, and I'm glad they still had one, even though it's like 10 years old. So
Wow.
I don't mind.
Cool. I do have Malcolm X on Blu-ray, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's on the list of titles to pick up in the Criterion for all those additional special features. And I
Yeah.
remember I have the soundtrack on vinyl because I remember when that film came out, the soundtrack, the movie was unbelievable. And for me, it was, I mean, Denzel is amazing. But for me,
Hmm.
growing up in Eastern Canada, it was a major education for me as well, that film
Mm.
was, and
Yeah.
culturally at that time. Um, so it was major for me. But the other part I remember was just being stunned by the soundtrack. And so anyway, that's a soundtrack that I have been listening to literally since that film came out. So for a very long
Wow.
time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's on my list too. Films I got to pick up. And then the last question before we go into the five, my guess is there's people. So before I collected Criterion, I was watching videos and on message boards and Facebook groups asking people, where should I begin? Where should I start? Is there a Criterion that you would say, if you're brand new, here's a recommendation of, I'd start here. Yeah.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
It is a perfect combination of a great Blu-ray, a great transfer, um, great special features, including the stage rendition of it, interviews, great booklet, new interviews, and it gives the new collector a great overall view of what to expect from a Criterion. Other than that, I would say one of the 4Ks, either Citizen Kane or Menace to Society, if they're into that, because those are probably two of the best 4Ks that Criterion has right now.
Cool. Awesome, man. Sounds good. All right. Well, let's dump it into the five. Friends, if you've
Yeah.
seen the five before, it's five questions with five titles per question. This is a trimmer version of five questions, and my friends respond with a Criterion film per question. And I'm looking forward to seeing what titles we pull, KB. So the first question is, what Criterion
Yeah.
film have you most recently seen?
Oh, okay. I went honestly with this answer, and the last one that I seen was an oldie but a goodie, and that's The Graduate. I was doing research for a podcast that I was on recently, talking about 1967 Best Picture nominees, and that was just a great year for cinema. I don't know if you're familiar with that stage, but it was really uh, a, a period of change, and with all but one exception, which was Dr. Dolittle, you had all these new directors coming into the fray. So you had films like The Graduate and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and In the Heat of the Night and Bonnie and Clyde. And it was just like all these, dare I say, bohemian films that are coming into like what cinema watchers were experiencing that they'd never seen before. And that inspired films to come for generations following. So I just wanted to be able to discuss it more. So I took this out and I put on the commentary, and it was really good because the commentary is with the director, Mike Nichols, and he's conversing with Steven Soderbergh, the director Steven Soderbergh, about the movie as it progresses. So you find out interesting things like this was supposed to be Mike Nichols' first movie, but he got a chance to do Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and he knew the play, and of course Burton and Taylor. So it's like, who's going to say no to doing that? So he did that, got it out the way, and then he went right into The Graduate. And the symbolism behind it, and Simon and Garfunkel doing the score, really one of the first times you had a soundtrack with popular music, which we see all the time now. But
Hmm.
um, this was like one of the first times. And not only did they have pre-recorded songs, but they actually had parts in the movie where they're actually playing along to what's on the screen. So I like going through commentaries, especially Criterion Edition commentaries, because you learn so much. The term that it's film school in a box
Hmm.
really comes into play when you get into things like commentaries and video essays and reading the essays in the books and so forth. So that's a good example of that.
Nice. I've still never seen that film. I still have to see that one.
Really,
Yeah.
it's good. Basically the story of a college graduate coming back home to California and just trying to figure out what to do with his life next. And I think at the time, a lot of young people went to see it because they were probably thinking the same thing. Vietnam's starting up, and they're probably in a lot of cases the first generation of college graduates in their families, and they just saying, okay, what's next, and how do I avoid becoming like my parents? And you have all these things going on. Oh, and he's being seduced by older women in the midst of all that.
Yeah. So I still haven't seen it. It's a classic. Obviously, everybody knows about it. And I know about the film, but one
Hmm.
of these days. That's the thing
Yeah,
with the Criterion Collection. It doesn't matter which way you look or turn. There's like, oh, I need to see that film, and I need to see that
yeah,
film. I need to see
yeah.
that film.
And something we were saying the other night is that unlike a lot of boutique labels, it's like, if I don't get a certain Arrow title, it goes out of print or they lose the license. For the most part, Criterions tend to stay being mass produced. It's a very, very short, limited list of out of print Blu-rays. The DVD one, of course, is
Yeah.
fast because of time and licenses and so forth. But the out of print for Blu-rays are almost minute. So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and the packaging is always the same.
That's true. Nice. Well, the second question I have for you is, what was the first Criterion film either that you bought or you watched?
Yes, I keep this for a reason. I've never upgraded this because I got this for all of $5. So we
Oh,
have the Royal Tenenbaums.
nice.
Um, as you might know, this is Wes Anderson's movie here, and I used to work at a law firm, and they had kind of like a forum or message board for employees, and one of them was a for sale or trade board, and someone offered this for $5.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, I always wanted to see that movie. It's worth $5. I'll check it out. And I'm like, the Criterion Collection. Huh. Sound like those old laser discs I used to see at the stores. And yeah, I started watching the movie, and then I saw it had all these extra features and video interviews, and what is the Peter Bradley show with more interviews, and it just had so much. The movie is less than 2 hours long, but the special features was at least another 3, 4 hours.
Crazy.
So then shortly after that, uh, is it not here? Oh, here it is. Shortly after that, being a Kevin Smith fan, I wanted to get one of his movies. Come to find out, this is only available via, at the time, Criterion Collection. So Chasing Amy was number two. And yeah, that made me catch a buzz. I was a Criterion fan from there.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember asking around on a message board, and it was really helpful, like finding out from people like which one should you pick up. And so mine was it's a Chaplin film, and um
Hmm.
yeah, and it's a when you get started into it, at the beginning, I thought I went through the page and I was like, yeah, there's probably three of them I'll probably get off this label, and that very
100,
quickly ballooned.
100 more.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was talking to someone the other night, and it's like I've scrolled through like all of those films. I have watched all of the Criterion Closet videos. I've
Yeah.
read the list of all the celebrities and the directors and their favorites. And yet it's like every time I go to the site, I'm like, oh, I feel like I've never seen that one before. And it's got to go on the list.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That wish list is never ending.
that's all right, man. The third question: what Criterion film has had the greatest impact on you? Could be emotionally, worldview, life perspective.
This is probably the hardest question to answer because I immediately want to pull that out and talk about Do the Right Thing. It is one of my all-time favorite movies, but I think it's not really pertaining to the question as much as me just saying this is one of my favorites. So I had to go for Kurosawa title in that case. And if you know anything about Kurosawa, he's well represented within the Criterion Collection. A lot of his films bring about different emotions, and people have their favorites. There's always a lot going on from his samurai films, his dramas, and everything. But when it comes to High and Low, this one, talking about a lot going on, there's a lot going on in this film. If you don't know, it's about a wealthy businessman whose son is kidnapped, or at least he thinks he is, and come to find out it's something completely different. And the thing that gets me about this movie is that when it all boils down to it, it teaches us a lesson that what really matters is family. Not in a fast and furious way, like seriously, that this man, you know, when he thought it was his son, would do anything, you know, give away his money, his millions, just to save his son because that's more important to him than money. And there's a lot of overarching themes and social commentary that's involved in the movie. We're talking about morals here and everything, but you boil it all down, it's to we will do, if you're a good person, we will do almost anything for our families. And you get past, the auteur part of it and the direction and how great the story is, and that just stays with you. So much so, I did upgrade it. I have the Blu-ray as well. Um, but people always talk about Seven Samurai and um, all the various Kurosawa films, but this is the one that stays with me the most. And a movie like this probably wouldn't come across my radar if it wasn't for the Criterion Collection because one, it's a foreign film, it's Japanese. Um, Two, I wouldn't have known about Kurosawa probably unless I really got into one of his other films in order to find this one. And it takes a boutique label like Criterion to put out something like this. So definitely happy to have this a couple of times in the library, but also um, for the impact that it provides.
Cool. Ikiru, when I was asking people what should be my first one, that one came up over and over again. People were saying that's
Yeah,
one. And High and
yeah.
Low is not one. I haven't seen it, but it just keeps coming up in conversations
Oh,
I
really?
have. Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone keeps talking about that. So I do need to pick that one up.
yeah.
So
Um, it's one to check out if you're not into doing blind buys. I'd recommend. And I said this when we did a recent live stream. For any of these Criterion Collection titles that you're thinking about, and you're like, I don't know anything about it, especially the older ones, go ahead and get the Criterion channel, do a trial, a 7-day trial, and just see if it's on there and just, set aside some time and watch some movies before you go and spend your 20, 25 bucks
yeah,
to purchase it and do a blind buy. It's a great way to preview before you buy. I
yeah,
use my library like religiously. If there's something, because they still get like new movies. So if there's a new title and I'm kind of iffy about it, I'll borrow it from the library. And then if I like it, then I'll try to catch it on sale before the end of the month.
yeah. I do that with Redbox. Is I'll go rent something
Yeah.
for $1.29 and see if I want to purchase it.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Cool. All right. And the next question, the fourth one: what Criterion film? Obviously, these probably are underrated if they're on the Criterion Collection. But what's maybe a Criterion film that we hear people talk about? Seven Samurai all the time. Ikiru is one that's talked about all the time. Miller's Crossing. So
Yeah.
there's ones that everyone talks about. But what's maybe one title that you don't hear many people talk about that you think should have more attention?
Have you ever heard anyone talking about The Vanishing?
No.
Okay. This is the DVD. They still haven't upgraded to the Blu-ray
Nope.
yet, but I'll just read the back real quick. A young man begins an obsessive search for his girlfriend after she mysteriously disappears during their sunny vacation getaway. His 3-year investigation draws the attention of her abductor, a seemingly mild-mannered professor who, in truth, harbors a diabolically clinical and calculating mind. When the kidnapper contacts the man and promises to reveal his lover's fate, the vanishing unfolds with intense precision, culminating in a generally chilling finale that has unnerved audiences around the world. And you might think this gave away a lot, but it really didn't. It's that
Okay.
kind of film. It's like, even though you're playing cards up, you really have no idea what's going on. That kind of movie.
Nice.
This was actually redone as well. I think this is from like the late 80s. So I forget what language, French and Dutch. So it was redid. I think an American version was did. But the original one here is it's chilling in a way because you can't imagine like something like that and the level of obsession that this man goes on to find out who did what and then the levels that he's willing to go through to just solve the riddle,
Mm.
even at the end when hey, that's the guy who did it, but how, why, so forth. So
Okay.
it's a good one. It's a
Cool.
good one.
I wrote that one down.
Yeah, yeah. Just be ready for subtitles, as I say.
Which hopefully if people are watching and then you never get into subtitle films. I remember for me the first one was Akiru, and it was
Hmm.
like I thought it was going to be a chore, but if the movie's a phenomenal movie, you get past that really quick.
Oh yeah.
Um, if it's a
Parasite is a great example.
Yeah, if it's a junk movie, yeah, it's going to be annoying and it's going to be boring, and you're going to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours reading. But if it's a great film, yeah, you'll forget that you're reading. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. And the last question is: what Criterion film brings you the most joy, hope, laughter, puts a smile on your face?
I got a smile on my face just picking it up.
Oh, it's great.
This is a movie that if it's on TCM or something, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm going to stop and watch it.
Hmm.
Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn. This is to me this and It Happened One Night is like the birth of screwball comedy. And I did a conversation with a gentleman the other night, and he said the great thing about the comedy in this movie is that it progresses the story along. And you don't usually see that. It's like if there's a joke, it's just to land a joke and then, back to the story. But this moves the story along as they're doing the jokes and the practical, you know, not practical effects, but the physical comedy in a
Yeah.
sense. So yeah, I love this. I love this movie.
And the cast is like they're legends.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And it's so atypical for Howard Hawks films. So if you watch any of his other movies and then you say, and this is also a part of his filmography, you'll have people like, huh?
yeah,
But it's so great. It's so great. When
it
this was
is.
coming out, this is spine number 1085. So it's not that long, probably like year and a half ago. I was elated. Same thing, funny enough, another Cary Grant this year with Arsenic and Old Lace, because
Yeah.
that's another one that anytime it's on, and that's a family favorite. Like we literally belly laugh at that movie. So it's really nice to add that to the collection as well.
I just saw that one the other day, and I was talking to someone after watching it. It's so frenetic, that one,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
constant. And it
yeah.
really surprised me. But it was good and it was funny and it was so weird in great ways.
Hmm.
But it was
Hmm.
just like I was almost tired. I was like, this is nonstop.
It's energy. It's energy. It's so peculiar. It's downright eclectic, but at the same time, you almost have a straight man in the middle of it, and that just makes it even funnier.
Yeah.
So it's great. I love that movie.
And
One
at
of the
the
ones I picked up.
and at the
Happily.
beginning, I felt like it's like, oh yeah, this is a cool screwball comedy. It's cute, it's great. And then when you learn a little bit about those two elderly ladies, you're like,
The end.
that is so weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it goes
then
off the rails
absolutely. And it doesn't just kind of like go off the rails a little bit, it just keeps going.
all the way.
Yeah.
All the way. No train, no wheels on the track.
No, not at all. But KB, those are great picks, man.
Thank you.
Those are great
Thank you.
picks.
I wanted to make ones that were unique, but I'm like, no, I gotta be me. So
Yeah.
this is me. This is me
Well,
right here.
I've never heard of The Vanishing, so I gotta look up that one
Yeah.
later.
Tell
And High
me,
and
tell me
Low,
what you think. Yeah.
cool. And High and Low is one that it's been on my list, and I was like, I gotta whittle this list down so it's not so huge. And
Hmm.
then it's been on and off. I just need to go ahead and get it because everybody talks about it so highly. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, man, thank you so much. Friends, if you're watching this one, KB and I did have a longer conversation on the five where he recommended 25 films. So if I remember, I will have that linked below. And please go check out KB's channel and Instagram account. KB always has great content. And your conversations, man, are taking off. Like you're just talking to
I know.
so many people.
I
And
love it, man. I love it. You don't know how much I love it.
well, and I've been around, like I've been around forever, about like almost 3 years. And after sometimes you feel like, oh, I think I've seen everybody's channel, at least I'm aware of it. And it's like every week you're saying, hey, I'm talking to this person. I'm like, I have never seen them before. And so now I got to
And
watch
that's the
that
thing.
and meet them.
I keep getting introduced to new content creators, and they may have been on YouTube for a couple of years, but they're new to me.
Yeah.
So it's great, and it's great to get to know them. And I like to put in my time, do my research, so I have unique questions. As you know, when we had the conversation,
Yeah.
I like to have unique questions for each guest, so that the only thing that's similar are the five takes at the end. So the last five questions. So I'm enjoying that, and now I'm doing episodes with just the five takes, and those are equally as fun. So I love it. I'll just keep doing it as long as I love it.
Well, like I said, it's great because I'm being introduced to so many people I didn't know of. Um, and so it's great and it's dangerous because I already feel a level of guilt of I've made good friends on YouTube and I now know too many people and that there's too much content for me to actually watch all of this stuff.
Yeah,
So
you can't watch everything.
so at first, when I first got into this, I knew like three people I was talking to. And so I watched everything they ever put out. And I went back, watched everything that they ever did before. And now
Hmm.
I'm just, I want to go to someone's channel. It's like, oh, I missed 5 videos of theirs. And
And if they're long videos, forget it. You're not going to be able to keep up.
yes, that's true. So hopefully these Criterion ones that are a little shorter, hopefully it'll be helpful for folks, but they've been good, man. So yeah, friends, please do check out KB's channel. He's killer content all the time and good people, good conversation. So well, KB, thanks, man. I was really looking forward to this conversation and it did not disappoint. So
Thank you. I appreciate you as always.
all right, man. Well, take care and I'll talk to you later.